Okay, so there's a star-looking thing. Now, I'm going to try and zoom in. That's up higher than the moon hologram. I'm just going to see what it is. Well, it looks like a hexahedron, even when I don't go close to it. Okay, so that's a cluster, and it's not a star, no matter how much it wants to show me that it's a star. Look, it went from a hexahedron, and then a mass, and now it's a glowing mass. And now it's it's a real high energy mass. Okay, that's plasma, and that's a big cluster up in the sky. That's even higher than the moon hologram. So both the moon hologram and that thing are just two big clusters of these orbs, and you can see how many of them are around. And this one's starting to move up into the sky. It's just going higher at a fast rate. I'm going to put it down here and see how fast it's going up. Okay, it's going up pretty fast, and there's a lot of big orbs and orb clusters that are not glowing all around it. Look at the orbs just being shot out of it. That plasma ball, the white center, that charges the orbs up and just spits them out. If you watch carefully, you can watch them being spat out right there on the left side. And just try and get this smaller, but not too small, so that I can watch it longer without shifting the camera. Okay. You can really see the orbs, and what that is, it's a huge cluster, and that's just a nucleus. All those other orbs are part of that cluster, and that cluster is huge, probably tens of miles up in the sky. And that means trillions upon trillions of these orbs up there, creating that cluster and that nucleus. It's not just a few. Look how many there are. The whole sky is so full of them that there's just no way to count them all. It's hard to focus on it. I'm trying to leave it in the middle so I can watch it go up. It's climbing up pretty fast. It's pretty soon it's going to double its height. Because if it can clear the screen that fast, that means it's going at a good pace, faster than a plane. I'm going to hold the camera on it so that I don't have to keep adjusting it. It's going to be shaking a little bit, but still. Get a good look of how the orbs operate and how they orbit counterclockwise around the glowing nucleus. And the more orbs there are, and the faster they revolve around that glowing nucleus, the hotter the nucleus. And it can get larger when more orbs join into the nucleus. So everything is variable and everything can change depending on what the orbs are doing. Just going to try and zoom in close on it. A little bit closer anyway. Okay, so you can get a clear shot of what it looks like. The shake is me holding it because it would have been off the screen in no time. It's moving pretty fast. So I'm just following it with my hand. And that's about as steady as I can hold my hand when I talk. So just watch it change shape. Look at that red glow around it now. Watch that change. And watch the plasma change from white to yellow and so on. That all depends on the speed of those orbs rotating counterclockwise. Their speed and movement in the air superheats the air and creates that plasma. You're getting a good look at an operation of a cluster. Now that's supposed to be a star. Okay, I'm going to back off. Now look at that thing in the sky. There's the moon hologram. I don't know if you can still see the star, but there it is. It was just like a star. If you didn't have a telescope or a good camera like this, you'd never know. But that's just a cluster, and that's how all our stars are, because we never see any. All we see is these things, and we see clusters of them, and the glowing nuclei of those clusters, which is this. I'll just let it go up and see how fast it's traveling into the sky. Okay, so that's going at a real good pace. Now it's really heated up, and it's picked up energy, and the glow is hotter and wider there in the center of the nucleus. And look how fast it goes across the screen. That's pretty fast. That translates into tens of miles every time it crosses the screen. It's tens of miles up in the air. Okay, so figure a car going top speed straight up, because that's what this thing is doing right now. Maybe even faster than a car going top speed. Okay, just watch it go up. Okay, so it's climbing probably at a couple 100 miles an hour, straight up, maybe even faster than that. I'd have to calculate to see how much it's traveling, but from the looks of it, it's going pretty fast straight up. Well, the birds are up. Those that are still left. I'm holding it now, just so you get a good look, because I want to go back to the moon image there and see what's happened with that, and then I'm going to stop. Just going to back this off one more time to show you that if you didn't have a camera like this, or binoculars or telescope, that would look like a star. Okay, there it is. That would look like a star. And you wouldn't know any difference between that and a star unless you went up close to it. But it's not a star, it's a cluster, and all the stars are clusters. There are no stars that we can see because there are so many of these organisms in the air above our head. They're just wall-to-wall organisms, and we can't see any stars. Okay, this is still white in color, and it's gotten so bright that you can barely pick up all those orbs on it, but you can still see them. It was better before when it was yellow and you could see them going around that corner and the lower corner to prove that it's really not the moon and there's no other part to it, because they're just circling the points. And that's why it increased its intensity, so it doesn't show up on film that it's fake. So anyone wanting to call that the moon at 180 degrees off course, and orbs circling it at the points, and the thing changing color and having a red energy field around it, all around. It still has it on the bottom there, but over here it's so bright that you can't tell. I'm gonna tighten this up. So that's your moon if you think that that's the moon. And I'm afraid I can't agree with you. I can't see that as the moon at all. Just look at that energy field around it, and look how bright it is. Even a sliver is too bright to photograph. And look at all those orbs all over it. And the interesting point that you should realize is that all those orbs are in our atmosphere. They're not out in space. So that whole thing is in our atmosphere, and it's not out in space. And if you don't want to believe that, you know, tough luck for you, because sooner or later you're going to have to come to terms with yourself that that's the way it is. And this thing is not the moon. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not the moon. Because each time I see it, there's something different about it. Just look at that energy field there, the red portion, and look how bright it is. I mean, it was dark yellow before. This is not possible. In 1 minute it changed color, the whole thing. That would never happen to a large object. It would change color gradually, not the whole thing all at once. Like someone turned on a light switch. And they probably did, because the whole thing is fake, and they probably did turn on a light switch and make it bright. I'm just going to go back to that object if I can find it. I'm going to see where it is. I'm going to turn out the camera and look for